We'll see. What's up, YouTube? FD White back with another episode of FD White Invest. Welcome to the channel, man. Welcome to the channel. So today we got a special guest, man. Easily one of my favorite people in the space. We came to you, I think it was about 7-8 months ago, talking about bull market tips and how we thought this bull run would go and how long we thought it would sort of last. It's kind of changed up a little bit on us. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about institutions, retail, and where we see this thing going after the election and things like that. So without further ado, man, I want to hurry up and bring my guy up, Rob, from Digital Asset News. Man, how are you, Rob?
Hey, I'm good, buddy. How's things over there?
Oh, I can't complain, man. I can't complain, man. Like I always tell you when I speak to you, man, I appreciate, all you've done over the past few years, man. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, just trying to make sense of this crazy world, right?
Exactly. And speaking of that, it's a lot of headwinds that that's out of our factor, out of our space, so to say. So we're gonna talk about that. But how you been, man? What's new? What's new over in the digital asset news world?
Not much. Just trying to, like I said, just trying to make sense of what's going on. I see a lot of, I see some changes from this cycle to a previous cycle, but it seemed like it's a combination of both. And I think we're going to get into some of those things that we're seeing. We've been around for quite some time, right? Me and you, FD. So it's like when I see like these new crazes, I'm just like, well, it's kind of, it's the same craze in a new body, and it's just going to keep happening over and over again. But there's opportunities to be had. The thing is who is going to be brave enough to take those risks? And I think that's really what it comes down to: your risk allocation and what you want to do, and just how big of a gambler you actually are.
Exactly. And speaking of gambling, let's jump right off the porch with meme coins, man. How are you navigating this meme coin craze? Are you allocated to a bunch of meme coins? Because I know you like to take the cool and calm approach. You don't want to really push these meme coins out like that, especially to your audience like that. So you do have the D.A.N channel, which you do bring a lot more of degenerate plays, so to say. But how are you looking at this meme coin? So this is one of the things that I've been looking at, because usually these meme coins have marked tops. Once the meme coin run happens, that marks significant tops in the market. So it hasn't been the case this year. It hasn't been the case this cycle so far. Meme coins have been really leading the chart. So how are you navigating with this meme coin craze?
There's a lot of things to go over with that because, first of all, I want everybody to realize that, meme coin is gambling. You're doing that, right? There's absolutely no utility. There's no really function behind it. And people will talk about, but it really comes in and it has great community. And the backing is because of the community, and we're monetizing the community, which I get all that. But just remember, very, 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 very few are going to be here for the long haul. And the ones that are, the chances that you who are watching this video or me or FD are going to pick the right one are so infinitesimally low. I don't think it's really going to happen. I will back up and say that as time has gone on, we've all laughed at Dogecoin, right? Yeah, it was funny. It was a nice experiment, right? But did you know it's been around for over a decade, and it's been the top 31 for over a decade? So I know people they'll fade it and they'll make fun of it, and people will say, well, it's because Elon Musk talked about it last cycle. Whoa. Remember, again, been around for a decade. It's been the top 31. How has your altcoin been doing? Has it been in that? Has it made billions of dollars? I don't know if it has. I mean, I'm just giving you the story that I see unfolding. So Dogecoin is one of those things. Now, as far as with meme coins and how I'm navigating it, it's incredibly difficult because there is no way that you're going to pick a narrative and go, that's the one it's going to be. And even there was a story about an AI generated trader that essentially brought, I believe it was called goats.
Yep.
Goats that brought it to close to $1 billion market cap as far as an AI trader. So again, if you think like, oh, I can make this seems pretty easy. You not only did you have to worry about bots before and the manipulation that's going on, now you have to worry about the AI side of it and them coming in and doing all types of algorithms against you to trade against you. So good luck.
Yeah, so I think it's called Truth Terminal. So I really just
Yeah.
watched the video with Andrew. I can't remember his name, but he sent like 50,000 to the bot for like research, Bitcoin research, and things like that. And it scoured the internet, and then it came up with this meme, and it didn't create GOAT, but it started to cling to that meme coin, and then it started to pump it up, and now it's reached those valuations that you talked about. So the market is changing, and speaking of changing, like we can even switch over to like the macro. So it's really weird right now in the space, in the investing space as a whole, because we have so much outside factors to factor in. So what I'm looking at is, the election, of course, has something to do with, our bags. So we gotta talk about that. We don't really like to get too political, as crypto influencers or whatnot. Some do, some don't, but we
Right.
do understand that certain candidates will determine the short-term movement or price action for Bitcoin. So going into the election November 5th, and everything that comes with that, how are you navigating that? Or are you just really sitting back and just letting the cards fall as they may? And how are you kind of navigating that with your audience?
Well, first of all, I can't vote for the president of the United States. I just can't because of felonies. Not just kidding. It's because I live in Puerto Rico. So like if you live in Puerto Rico legally, you cannot vote for the president of the United States. It is a commonwealth, and that is how it is designated. So for me, like, I mean, I hear both sides. I don't know, where it's going to go. Some people say that this is a lock for Trump. Some people say it's a lock for VP Harris. We'll see. I can't vote, so I don't really have too much skin in the game.
Yeah.
And I know people will say, well, if this person comes and that person comes, look, I'm old, and I can remember just going back to Reagan, like going back to Bush Sr., going back to Bush Jr., Clinton, Obama. I will tell you this, everybody makes campaign promises and every single politician goes back on them. Not because that they're all liars, which I think, that's just how you have to do things in politics, but it's because it's not just the president of the United States. It is Congress. It is the Senate. It is the House of Representatives. They have to actually push those bills through. So even though people will say, well, he says this and he's going to do it, or she says this, she's going to do it, are they really? I am not convinced that anybody's going to do anything that is like earth shattering. I just feel like it's a lot of campaign promises, and we'll see if it plays out. I'm just trying to be a realist, and hopefully it all works.
Yeah, same. So before we move on, we got the chat blowing up. I want to give some shout outs, man. We got Crypto Blood in the building. What's up?
Oh yeah, Crypto Blood.
Yeah, Alexandra G. She's the best mod on YouTube, man. Abe, what's up, Abe? OC, Army Piper. We got Green Day Profits, Kyle Fields, RMT, Retro Mike Tech. If you want to talk about that mining, go over and look at Retro Mike Tech's channel. He's a whiz at that. I think we said OC Guy, Crypto Chef, Mike Play, Massey 33, Buck. We got everybody from the Army Piper community coming on over.
Army Piper here in El Paso, Texas.
Yeah, Wix, Wife Fine 89. We appreciate you guys coming over, man. Because I really don't live stream a lot. I just do, a lot of just on the go or static recorded videos. So I really want to come and do lives when I want to bring a lot of alpha on, and this is top of the chain alpha. So institutional adoption. So I do have let me see this. There's some couple stories that came out. Let me see, present. Let me get this going. It's a couple stories that came out that I really wanted to talk about today. And the first one was the US government's crypto wallet was hacked for 20 million. So
I didn't see this. This is crazy.
Yeah, so this just happened recently, within the last few hours. It says U.S. government crypto wallets hacked for 20 million. I think the hacker was starting to send it to maybe some tornado wallets or mixers or something like that. I didn't really read the full thing, but it just goes to show you that nobody is exempt from these crypto scams. And I had a video with Steve Flynn. Shout out to Steve Flynn. We put out last week or a week before last. We were just talking about, different crypto scams and whatnot. So here's the government talking about, we can't self-govern our own money and self-govern our own, crypto. They don't like that, but they're sitting here getting hacked for 20 million, man. So what do you think about this, Rob? You said you haven't seen this yet. So what is your first initial reactions to this?
It just goes to show you that if you give money to the government, or if they confiscate the money, they're going to waste it. So if you really, I got to tell you, I think the biggest gamble you can do is giving your money to the government and imagine that they're going to do something positive for you. Here's a prime example. They're going to blow it by getting hacked, or they're going to give it to some other country, or they're going to do something with it, which is like overspend. And we take a look at like the electrical EV charging, where I think they charge billions of dollars and they only got like 7 up.
Goodness,
But
yeah.
so like this is the prime example. Also, if you think just raising taxes on people is going to do anything and do anything good, it's not about that. It's about, like, if you raise taxes on people, the only thing it's going to do is give it into the hands of the people that waste your money. It's like maybe I should just give more crack to a crackhead, and they should be they'll be fine because they'll get out of their system. It's amazing to me.
Exactly.
So like, yeah, like with this one, this is hilarious. Oh, I can't wait to talk about this later. Good. One thing I will say, though, that is a ballsy move by any hacker out there who's like, you know what? I'm going to hack the U.S. government. In some dark web chapters, there is somebody bragging about this and taking credit for it. Can you imagine the clout?
Yeah, I can just imagine it right now.
Oh, I hacked the government for $20 million. Oh, that guy's going to he's going to get some pretty good job offers after this.
Right. Yeah. So, it's just going to show that, it's nobody's exempt from crypto. Nobody's exempt from crypto scams. And just as easily as you can be, self-govern and get all this crypto, it can easily be taken away. And, even if you're the U.S. government. So be safe out there. And the next one I want to look at was this one. This one is pretty big, possibly. It says Microsoft to vote on Bitcoin investment assessment in December. So I guess the shareholders and the big players of Microsoft are going to come together and try to come to an agreement, possibly to, I guess, put Bitcoin on their balance sheet, or start to allocate Bitcoin, or let people buy stuff, purchase Microsoft things with Bitcoin or stuff like that. So this is this is huge. Like, this is huge. I don't know how much, or if this will even pump the price or whatnot, but this is huge in a long list of things, even just this year, for institutional adoption. So what do you think about this? And then we'll segue this over into institutional adoption and how that's playing a part in crypto, this crypto bull run.
Yeah. First of all, if you could do me a favor, throw up my screen. I know that this is being voted on, but I believe that the board members are already saying that this they're hoping that this actually doesn't pass, because they don't want this to pass, which I got to tell you, I think is obviously it's a mistake. I'm a little biased. I think we're both a little biased. I think they should put it on there. Like, just follow the MicroStrategy play. Just put Bitcoin on your balance sheet. MicroStrategy beat every single business in the S&P 500 except for Nvidia, just by putting putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And if you take a look at the stock price from all the way back in 2001 to today, there was only 2 pumps. One was the .com crash for MicroStrategy, and then the second one was when they put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So I don't get it. But this is actually from Michael Saylor. He says, "Hey, Satya, if you want to make the next $1 trillion for Microsoft shareholders, call me." And I thought it was funny. I said, because this is the same thing that he did with Elon Musk. When Elon Musk, he puts out, this was in 2020, me trying to live a normal life, Bitcoin. And then Michael Saylor says, if you want to do your shareholders a $100 billion favor, convert the Tesla balance sheet from USD to Bitcoin. Other firms in the S&P 500 would follow your lead, and in time it would grow to become a $1 trillion favor. Are such transactions possible? And he goes and talks about, yes, it is. And here's SBF, who is now in jail, gives his 2 cents, but whatever. So I take a look at this. I'm like, nah, maybe they'll do it. But again, they're trying to steer their board. Like, it was just a notion that was put up for vote. So it's not like it's going to happen. And, I don't think, it depends. I mean, maybe it does. Maybe cooler heads will prevail. But you'll see the story. But just know that I don't think it's going to pass. But if it does, could be pretty big.
Yeah, I definitely think it could be pretty big. And speaking of institutions and whatnot, we haven't really seen like the real retail craze coming in. So this is kind of been like we see like the past couple days, we see the ETF inflows have been surpassing. I think if we get about 200 million more today, this week, I think it'll surpass $2 billion ETF inflows for this week. So we've been seeing a lot of inflows when it comes to the institutional adoption, when it comes to the ETFs. But we talked about this 8 months ago, Rob, when we did our first video together, when we was talking about the bull market tips. We haven't seen any, like my friends haven't been calling me yet. You know, my uncles and
Yeah.
aunties haven't been asking me how to, make a Coinbase account, things like that. So I'm not sure if this is something that's going to come back anytime soon with the macro environment being the way it is. So what are your thoughts on that? And do you think we can have a sustained bull run without the retail? We are retail, but I like to call them retail coming in and pumping liquidity into these markets a little bit more.
I mean, it's ideal to have as many players in the game as you possibly can get, right? But I don't know what's going to bring them back. I think people got burned really because there was a difference between 2017 and 2021. 2017, the price just collapsed, mostly because of Bitcoin futures by the CBOE on December, I think it was December 17th, 2017. And because of that, people hedged against it. They shorted Bitcoin like people knew they would, and the price collapsed. And that was just a pricing issue. But in 2021, it was different. It wasn't because of a pricing issue or a market issue. It was because of the collapse, essentially, of the centralized exchanges that were custodying your crypto. And when I came in 2017, the OGs told me about Mt. Gox, and I was like, whatever, that's not going to happen. And of course, you got to learn for yourself. So we saw Voyager, Celsius, FTX, BlockFi, Three Arrows Capital. Essentially, they all collapsed. That wasn't a part of the market. I mean, that was just essentially greed behind what was going on. And of course, the centralized exchanges are not crypto, but the people who were getting in because number go up, they can't figure that out. They didn't figure that out. They know now that SBF is in jail. They probably are wondering, like the two founders of Three Arrows Capital, why those guys aren't in jail. They don't know essentially why Alex Mashinsky from Celsius isn't in jail. I don't know either, quite honestly. But they take a look around. I think they got burnt so bad, it's very hard for them to get back in. And I don't blame them because, I mean, if you take a look at it, you're like, well, you could have learned about self-custody, you could have done that thing, but the average person just isn't. They're not going to do that until they really go down that rabbit hole, right? So, I mean, we can talk about it and say, you got to self-custody, just get them here, get them safe, and then maybe they'll figure it out. That's why, like, I know we were talking about meme coins.
Mhm.
I think that's one of the big things about meme coins people don't get, or maybe some, I mean, I think most of your audience probably does, but like, and you know this, when you get a new project coming out, usually those projects will go to the VCs to get backing. Then they'll go to the KOLs, the influencers, and they'll give them special deals, right? And those people will dump all over everybody. And they have like lockup periods, and then everything unlocks and they, just dump on people. The great thing about meme coins, especially look at just look at some of the like Dogecoin, Pepe, Dog with Hat, all those things. All the circulating supply and the max supply, the exact same. It's because it's all been released and it's all out there.
Yep.
So can VCs come in behind that and buy up a ton at the very beginning and then pump it? Yes, they can, obviously. That's why when you're taking a look at these coins, these meme coins, I don't know who was talking about it, but they talked about what they're looking for is a sub $20 million valuation. And they're also looking for 270% declines. What that essentially shows them is that if the VCs did buy up or big people or whales did, they dumped and the community said, okay, well, we're going to pick up that torch. If it happens again, maybe it's other VCs or other whales, and they did it again. And those are the ones that'll go pretty far. So I look at that, I'm like, that could be it, but I'm not putting in more than, 2 to 3% of my portfolio into that.
Cool. Yeah, true. And speaking of, I want to circle back to meme coins and then we'll move on to something else. So I want to ask, I like to ask a lot of people, a lot of smart people, a lot of people who've been in the space for a while, this question. And it's do you think onboarding people to crypto via meme coins is a good thing or with the gambling nature and the probable risk of you losing all of your money, you know, a bad way to onboard people or to bring people onto the space? Because a lot of people think bringing this is how mass adoption will happen. So I want to get your take on that, Rob.
Well, I'm gonna answer a question with a question, FD. When people ask you about it, what do you tell them?
Ask
Like,
me
hey, no, not about meme coins, just about crypto in general. Do you bring up meme coins? You just say, you know what, start with this or do this. What do you say?
It varies. It varies. If it's like a complete stranger, it depends on who it is. But if it's like let's just say a complete stranger, I'll talk about Bitcoin. I'm going to talk about Bitcoin and probably Bitcoin only.
Yeah, that's pretty smart because it's the best way. You know what? Like these days, you know, I tell people that they can't handle it, and that they're probably going to lose everything and go away. That's exactly what I say to people now, especially like even my friends. I know people will tell me like, "Oh, Rob, you got to be an ambassador." No, look, here's the thing. Like I told people in 2021 to get into it, and then what happened? Voyager, Celsius, FTX collapse, and who's going to get blamed? Me. I'm going to get blamed. So these days, I'm like, no, you're not going to make it, and it's just a bad idea. So just stay away from it. Go invest into treasuries or something. Have a good time. The ones that, like, I got a friend, George, he keeps coming back. He's like, okay, you know, I can take it. Okay. Well, here's what you should, you know, here's what I'll talk about. Obviously, we talk about Bitcoin first, because I think that's going to be the big thing. And also, we just talked about this yesterday about how Cardano is coming over to Bitcoin to be essentially like a layer 2 solution for like smart contracts and whatnot in the Bitcoin layer. I'm like, that's pretty great. I like layer 2s on Bitcoin. We'll see how far that goes. But as far as like meme coins, if I had to say anything to anybody, I'd be like, look, the rules that I have up on my channel are pretty straightforward, right? Everything's a scam until proven otherwise. That's the second one. The very first one is don't invest more than you can afford to lose. So I tell people like this, like, look, if you get into meme coins and if it doubles and you don't take your initial investment out, you're an idiot. So I just tell them that. And then I say, after that, play with it's all house money. So I have a video out. I call it the half and half method. And I took a look back at Ethereum when Ethereum was just coming out. I said, if Ethereum was as great as everybody said it was, because remember, this is back, 2016, 15, 16, when it came out. If it was as great as everybody says it is, and you know that, and you know, FD, like people will tell you like, this is the next great thing. This is the next Ethereum killer, Solana killer. You're like, okay, sure. So you say, all right, I'll invest 1,000. Once it doubles, I take my initial 1,000 out, and that 1,000, I just let it ride. And when it doubles again, I take the other 1,000 out. Now I'm in profit. Right. And I'll keep doing that maybe 3 or 4 times. And if you would have done that with Ethereum with just $1,000, you'd have millions already, even if you went and said, okay, I'm going to sell at the double, and then 4 or 5 times down the road, you just let it ride and go, we'll see what happens. Looks like it's doing pretty good. Now you wouldn't make $10 billion, but I think everybody would be happy with like 2.3 million. I'm not sure. That'd be okay for me.
Yeah. So I got a strategy, Rob, where I've really just started implementing. Hopefully the market starts to ramp up and I'll implement this a lot more, is my 10X strategy.
All right. So I like this. This sounds good. This sounds good already.
Yeah. So I used to, when I first came in, I'm swinging for the fences. I'm swinging for the fences, Yeah. So now, as a more seasoned investor, if you want to call me an investor of crypto,
sure,
I'm looking at 10X. I'm looking to 10X, a 10X, which will be 100X. So I think if the market does ramp up how we wanted to ramp up and things like that. So my first 10X, I'll probably go into a higher cap coin with a lower market cap, but something that has been, kind of proven, stood the test of times somewhat. Okay. And then I'll try to turn, let's say 1,000 into 10,000. So right now, I think I put $1,000 into, what was that coin called? Was it Pop? We did good on Popcat, so we will talk about
Popcat did great. Yeah.
So we did good on that one, but that was I can't remember the name of it. But so right now I think I'm up maybe like 2X on my initial,
There we go.
So I mean, I could just take that out, but I really want to do this as just like my social experiment to see if I can 10X that and then 10X that. So basically taking 1,000 into 100,000. So I know you, even over the bear market, you were preaching the same thing, talking about DCA. You had, your portfolio out, and you were putting, every week or every so often you would put without even thinking about it, putting it in and just letting it ride. So with everything going on, I'm gonna put you on the spot. With everything going on, because I know you're very transparent with the audience about letting them know that you will dump on them.
I will dump on them. Yes,
Yeah. What are
exactly.
you what are you looking for in the next, say, what's this, November, December, the next 3 to 6 months? I know you don't make predictions. We don't make predictions. We let the market tell us what it wants to do. But what are you looking at as far as price points that you will start to take profits? And let's do Bitcoin specific. So is there a price point for Bitcoin where you're going to start taking profits, or it's all about market dynamics and market sentiment?
There's no price points. Because like when I did that last time, and in the description of every one of my videos, you'll see my two different strategies. So the first one was I just used fractals, and what I did was I said, okay, well, because I got in 2017 and 2018, so I said, okay, well, Bitcoin from its all-time high to its low point, and then from its low point to its all-time high was X amount. So I'm going to fractal that over and say, okay, well, I thought that Bitcoin could go to 150,000 last cycle. And then I revised it and said, maybe 100,000. And that didn't work out, obviously. It only went to like 67, 68K, depending. So what I did was I said, okay, at 20% of a certain amount, I'm going to take out. And I just did it like that. So like at 20%, when I hit 40,000, I took out 20% of my initial, of everything. Then when I hit 50,000, I took 20% out. And then when I hit 60,000, but the problem was when I hit 60,000, I didn't do it. I just took 2 allocations, and that was my mistake. And I thought Ethereum would reach 10,000 based on fractals. That didn't happen. So I took out like 40%. Not bad. The one I did the best as far as like the price prediction was I thought that Cardano would go to $3, which it did. But again, that was just fractals and guesswork. Now, and it worked out fine. I mean, I'm not going to say it didn't. Like I did okay, but I could have done better. Now what I have another strategy. I'm just going to take a look at indicators and just take a look at, there's basic ones. Like if you take a look at the MVRVZ score and the PWL multiple, take a look at the Pi cycle top, which has done pretty good. Take a look at wristbands, which is on Ben's website, into the cryptoverse, and just go from, and then of course, fear and greed and RSIs, if you're going to take a look at that, just kind of add it all together and just going to say, okay, this looks pretty good. I'm going to start to take profits here. So I don't know what that's going to look like, but we're going to at some point really get to a point where everything just goes crazy. Hey, you know what? Let me show you one other thing that I thought was pretty interesting. Well, this was just my, we're talking about presidential elections. I just want to remind everybody that, hey, we're going to see all-time highs, but usually we got to go through this crappy election first, and then they'll kind of hit. But what I was going to show you was, let me come over here. So this is Ben's website, the cryptoverse, and you guys can check it out, into the cryptoverse. Some of the things are free, most of it's a paid service, but I use it almost every single day, and I try to steal as much information as I possibly can. But look at this, these crypto risk indicators. Like you can look at the individual indicators, which are cool, which are great, but check this out. I like this one because like it'll take up the things I was talking about, right? Total market cap risk, Bitcoin risk, logarithmic regression, fear rate index. And that's just for the price. On-chain metrics, I just talked about. 12 multiple MVRVZs, transaction fees, and then social metrics, YouTube subscribers, blah, blah, blah. What I want you to notice is this. You can use this little slider. It's pretty fun. So like, see how like the social, and the summary is right up here. All these social metrics, all the on-chain metrics and price are, not too bad. But if we go back to say 2021, see where it's going?
Yeah.
September, what was the high? Yeah, November, I think, was the high. And we can kind of see where things are getting redlined. If we go back to 2017, you can see it did. Well, wow, I'm really crazy over there. And that's just one thing. So I take a look at this and go, okay, well, that's what it is. Also, another one I like is this. I don't do price predictions, but let me see if I can find, oh, yeah. These are the risk bands. So let's just take, right now, the highest risk is Solana at 0.6. Let me just pull this in. So what it's saying is like, hey, in these risk levels, and this is a good way if you want to do what's called dynamic DCAing, which is what I do. So as the risk levels go up, you start to dollar cost average a little bit less. And then when the risk levels go down, say like right here, let's say when it's in like 0.3 at 70, remember those days, $70?
Whew, man.
and like down to here, actually did a pretty good job. I think the lowest it ever was like $9, $10. So around here, you just start investing more. So like this one, time and wristbands, again, take it with a grain of salt. It's saying that at the most risky levels, Solana could be $736. And at this point, I'm not like around 0.8 and a half. I'm starting to take some profits out. So that's just kind of just one way I'm doing things.
Yeah. Okay. So, and speaking of Solana, this has been like the conversation that I've been seeing over the past, not even a couple of weeks. It's been like a while since the beginning of the year when we started to get that pump, and we kind of topped out around March, April. Solana versus Ethereum. So a lot of people are starting to convert Ethereum over to Solana, or even just pick Solana over Ethereum. How would you allocate if you were coming into the space and you had, let's say $1,000 and you only had two picks, Solana or Ethereum? Which one are you going with heavier, and why?
If you believe that there's a meme coin big pump coming, then you probably know that Pump.fun, a Solana-based meme coin extravaganza, is built on Solana. So if you were going to get into it, it'd be the same thing as like depending on your risk level. For me personally, I'm not buying any more Ethereum. I've got enough of that.
Same.
And I'm buying Solana, and I'm buying SWI, and I'm buying AVAX, and I'm buying, the L1s that I think are going to do quite well. But for this, like for this piece, you just have to ask the people, like what's your risk level here? Do you want to go into this, or do you think Ethereum's going to do quite well? I personally, I'm not a huge fan of Ethereum and the way things are going with all the L2s and the outlandishly high fees,
right,
and just the cumbersome, and also the fact of all these different hacks and all the things that are going on within the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm not a big fan, but again, that's probably because I'm biased, and I feel like the sentiment has kind of shifted away from Ethereum. But then you also take a look at the market cap, right? What is the market cap of Ethereum these days?
Pretty high. Let me see. I can go over the coin. Let me share mine.
Yeah.
Market cap is 306. So 306 billion.
306 billion. I mean, just imagine that. Like, you've got 306 billion for the price to go from 2,500 to back to its all-time high. You're looking at $600 billion, right? That would be half of what Bitcoin is right now, a little bit less. But Solana is sitting at 82 billion. So for that to go to 4x, I mean, that's what the market cap is now. So if you're looking at a 4x or a 2x, then if you go down further, like one of my favorites, Toncoin, that's at 12 billion. Yep. Cardano at 12 billion as well. AVAX is at 10. What else is good stuff for me?
Cardano, man, I'm sad about Cardano right now. I don't even want to. That's a big bag of mine. I was talking about Cardano on a live stream last night. What do you think's going on with a lot of these L1s that were projected to do very well, but they're not really moving? I know ADA got up to maybe like 80 cents during the peak of the market at the beginning of the year, but now it's really not gaining traction. I think it just really had like some big news or some big cross-chain integration into ADA or Cardano coming in, and it's really not pumping the market or pumping ADA like we thought it would. They had a lot of bullish news over these past few months, but nothing's happening. Also with like Polkadot, Cosmos, Atom, it's just a bunch of layer ones that have not really been performing the way a lot of us thought they were going to perform. So what do you think is going on with that?
I talked about this yesterday, as a matter of fact. Look at this. So first of all, I'm not here to convince anybody that Cardano is going to be, like Charles Hoskinson said, it's going to rival Ethereum in a decade, and then of course take that number one spot from Bitcoin a decade later. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that sometimes news just doesn't move squat. Right. And this is Tesla stock. Now Tesla just had their earnings call, and it's been going, I mean, quite well. Let's be honest, from a couple of days ago. But remember that big reveal when they talked about the Tesla taxis, and then also the autonomous robot Optimism. That was on October 10th, and I thought, and that was a night event. So I'm like, oh, it's going to pump the price, and look what happened. Went from 238 to 217. I don't know how much that reduction is, 4 or 5%, whatever. But you can see, like, sometimes news just doesn't happen. Then they have an earning, and it kept kind of going down until the earnings call, and it came up. So I'm not for sure about Cardano or about Cosmos. I know it feels like, or it doesn't feel like, it is. It seems like you've got one cycle to prove yourself. And after that, you need to start building, and you need to start having partnerships, and you need to really get out there, and you need to have like on-chain metrics that really make a difference. And if you don't, people will leave you in the dust. And I think that's kind of happening right now. So that announcement yesterday was from BOS, Bitcoin Operating System, or Bitcoin OS. And what they essentially are doing is rolling Cardano into a layer 2 solution for Bitcoin, because both of them use UTXOs. And you're going to be able to do DeFi type of play on top of Bitcoin. And I thought that was a pretty good idea, because if you look at it, the most decentralized and the safest computerized network in the entire planet is Bitcoin, with all the different nodes. How many? Let me see something. Nodes. Here, I think I have it here. Yeah. So reachable Bitcoin nodes themselves, almost 19,000 nodes. That's not bad. It's pretty good. So every single one of those are verifying every single transaction on the blockchain, which is Bitcoin. So if you can take Cardano and use them as a layer 2, so much the better. The question I have, though, is for EUTXO. If you take a look at it, I know people will say, well, EUTXO.org, I think it is. They'll say, well, it's very slow and it only has X amount of transactions per second. That's very true. But remember, for every transaction, there is multiple transactions going on from within it. So if you go to EUTXO.org, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This themselves may be 20 transactions, but within each transaction is blah, 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 blah. So just something to keep in mind. I know people sometimes hate Cardano. I don't want to turn this into a Cardano like love fest, but it just hasn't really, let's be honest, it hasn't performed, and that's just the truth.
Yeah. So shift gears before we get out of here, man. We gotta talk about a little bit more grim stuff. Let's talk about the U.S. economy,
Sure.
where this could potentially land. Not only crypto, but also risk assets all around. So what I've been looking at, I've been doing a little research, stepping back for a while, and doing some research. And over the past couple of years, we all kind of predicted hard recessions in 2022.
Sure.
We did have a nice downtrend in 2023 came around. We predicted another recession, but it's really been up only in these markets if you really zoom out. Do you think there will be a time where everything hits the fan? And how bad do you think it will be if it does start to hit the fan? And I have my thesis and whatnot, but I'll let you go first and then I'll chime in.
Well, here's a funny thing. If you can show this real quick. This is the U.S. debt clock. And this is a massive amount of debt. We've never had this much amount of debt. And we've got $35 trillion just sitting there. That's debt per citizen is $106,000. That's just per citizen, but per actual taxpayer is $271,000. We can't get out of this. It's unsustainable. And just the interest that we're paying will rival national defense spending. So I don't see us getting out of this. Now, the way that they're going to do it, or they're going to try to do it, is they're just going to, it's going to go to inflation. I know they say, well, we got inflation under control. But what's going to happen is this is the M2 money supply. And I always forget, this includes M1, near money, savings deposit, money market securities, and time deposits such as CDs, includes currency, demand deposit, and other liquid deposits. If you can just take a look here, and everybody talks about this, this is all you want to know. Are we going to, first of all, is the bull run going to happen? Yes. And will we have some type of hard recession at some point? Yes, because we're going to, and even Paul Tudor Jones talked about this on Squawk Box. He says all roads lead to inflation. There is no way to get out of this unless we start printing money like crazy. And we can see that back in, I mean, people will say, well, how different is this? In 2017, we went from an empty money supply of 13.28 to only 13.86. That's not bad. And then, I mean, for us, let's be honest, America just does that. And then if we take a look at the coronavirus time, we went from 15.4 trillion. And then if we go into the peak of the bull run, which was November, 21. So what is that? Like $7-8 trillion? And then people say, well, is this different? Well, we actually reduced the amount of money supply that we actually had, which was quite unprecedented, except for if you look into like the Great Depression, but there's different factors to figure in. But we're almost at the same height of where we were at before, 21.22 trillion, 21.72 trillion. So do I think that we're going to have a recession? Yes. Do I think I know when it's going to be? No. Do I think that we're going to inflate away and we're going to do what's called a big melt up? Yes. They're going to increase the money supply. They're going to drop the rates, which they're going to do. They should do it November, December. I think next year they'll probably do a full 100 basis points. And then everything, this is why it's so important to get into assets, Efty. You know this, and your audience knows this. If you are saving money, like most people are, just trying to save money, it is going to be very difficult for you. You must, in my personal opinion, you must own assets. That doesn't have to be crypto. That can be precious metals. That can be traditional equities. That can be land. That can be real estate. But if you don't own assets, and the ones that do, we'll see the valuation of those assets go up exponentially because of the massive amount of printing we're going to see. And that's where I see things. So what do you got for that one?
I mean, you're right in line with what I've been thinking about and what my thesis is. And I think a lot of people, like we touched upon earlier, short term, yes, it does matter who gets in for the prices of, assets. Of course, crypto. One is a crypto president. One is we don't know. So short term, it is correlated, but long term, neither one or anybody can get us out of the situation that you just basically gave us the rundown for. So I think that great melt up is coming. Will we have a lot of volatility in between there? Will we get some type of sell off? Possibly a huge sell off, maybe. But the way everything is made up, our house of cards, we can't do it too long. We can't let the crumble last too long. So I don't know if it's going to be a crumble, or I don't know if it's just going to be just a straight melt up, going into 2025, 2026. But we do have a lot of things that's supposed to start drying up. Social Security is supposed to be drying up in like 2030, 2032 and things like that. So that's one of the messages that I try to bring. Like when I talk to people about crypto or just owning assets, they think I'm just some DJing online, trying to just get rich and do this. I'm like, yeah, sort of.
Yeah, you're halfway right. Yeah,
maybe 60-70% right. But really, honestly, I'm really trying to just like tell people, like, when you get into crypto, you start to go down, like the stock market really didn't make me go down the rabbit hole. It was crypto that made me go down that rabbit hole, because when I first got into crypto, it was more like a fight the power type of thing, and we're going against going against this, going against that. So it kind of made you go down that rabbit hole and figure out why you have this type of conviction. But now everything is going on. You have to, like you said, be in these assets, and I think crypto, Bitcoin in particular, is going to be like the fastest mover when it comes to owning assets and fighting inflation and fighting against this not failing dollar, but it's one of the things where I hate to use that word, but it's death by 1,000 cuts, man. And and lastly, before we get out of here, they did have like a BRICS summit. I think it just wrapped up yesterday. And this is really not something that I'm too concerned about near term, but all these countries are starting to try to move away from the dollar slowly but surely. It's not going to happen overnight, and I don't know if it will happen, but it's not like we're doing them, or combating that. It's like we're digging the hole. We're helping them dig the hole, with all these fiscal policies and monetary policies. So just one of the things that I want to keep on my radar as well as this thing goes along, and just be safeguarded, like you said, in these assets. And if we do get some sort of correction or thing like that, I think that will be a gift in disguise. A lot of people will be scared, but I think that will be a gift, and act accordingly. And this is where your due diligence come in. And 99% of those meme coins won't make it.
Yeah.
You can, make some money on these meme coins. I do, if you want to gamble, go ahead and gamble, because I'm right there with you. You know what I mean? So let me just take this off. So this is something that I just wanted to, bring to the audience while I had you here. And I wanted to get you on because you're one of the guys, one of the few that are cool, calm, collected, and you've been in the space, and you're not trying to take advantage of people. You really just come, you bring information, you bring data, you bring analysis, and you bring a well-rounded aspect to the space.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. The thing is like, I made mistakes last cycle, which I'm trying not to repeat. So like when I talk about like, I'm going to dump on you and I'm going to, be that guy, I have to say that because I know like when I got in, it was a sin to sell. And if you sold anything, you were paper hands and you were not a diamond hands and you were weak. And I realized that the way that people said that was just because they were essentially, I was their exit liquidity. So now when I think about it, and I know that people are saying, should I take some profits because I really need to pay off this debt? Or should I take some profits because I really want to put Timmy through school? Or should I take some profits? I really need that kidney or whatever. I want people to remember my voice where I say, I'm going to dump on you. And then they can say, oh, well, if I don't do it, someone's gonna dump on me and be my exit liquidity. So I'll just take the profits now. Nobody ever went broke taking profits. And I think it's a sound advice. I know people will say, well, you have to hold it all in Bitcoin. I'm here to tell you that it's not so much about Bitcoin, it's about having assets and just being comfortable for whatever you're trying to do.
Exactly. I think that's a good way to wrap it up, man. Like I said, I appreciate you coming on. A lot of people don't know what happens behind the scenes and how you help me, man. So I just want to make it publicly known. I appreciate you. Thank you for what you do, man. As a coach, a little content creator coach, you've been coaching me a little bit over the years. So I appreciate you, man. And I know everybody who watches your channel, who are in tune to it, they can appreciate the content that you bring. So, from me and everybody else, we appreciate you.
Well, thanks. Well, it's not like, your channel's good. So you don't need much coaching, just a little bit here and there, just what I would do. But I'll remember, like, you're going to have to take over the mantle because remember, for this bull run, once those indicators hits we talked about, MVRVZ, score up well multiple, I step down from the channel and that's it. So I will, once those things hit, I sell. I tell people I sell. I sold today, 80% or whatever it is. And I say, good luck. And then I step. And which is the exact opposite. I'll come back in the bear market when everything collapses because no one needs me in the bull. So
everybody's a genius then, yeah.
Yeah. So they're gonna need you, man. They're gonna need you during that bull to remind them, hey, take some damn profits. Don't be greedy.
We'll see, man. I was traveling a lot over the past few months. You might catch me in Puerto Rico on the beach somewhere right with you, man.
I tell you guys, it's the best place in the planet. Well, for me, I love that place.
All right, man. Rob, man, Digital Asset News, appreciate you for coming on, man. We'll talk to you in a minute. Everybody, make sure if you're not following Rob, you probably are, but if you're not, go over and subscribe to Digital Asset News on YouTube, also at News Asset on X, and we will talk to you in a minute. Appreciate everybody for coming. Alexandra G, I made a mistake and blocked you in the chat. I'm going to get off of the stream and do that and get you back on and put you on as a mod. So I'm sorry. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. We will talk to you guys in a minute. Peace.
See you guys.